everyone. Welcome to this pick a pile reading. Choose your pile, pause if you need to. Today we're looking into how have you grown / how are you growing? Hello there. If you chose pile 1, this is going to be your message, okay? Take what resonates, leave what does not. Don't force it, don't push it, don't shove it. If it resonates, you will know. So today's question is, how have you grown and how are you growing? So for pile 1, what do we have? We have the 5th chakra, Archangel Gabriel, the thinking woman, and anxiety coming out for your first 3 cards. So how have you grown, or how are you growing, pile 1? You're learning to speak your truth more, or you've learned to speak your truth more. You've learned to speak more from your wisdom, from your heart, from your emotionally in tune self versus speaking from your anxiety. Or this is how you're growing in this way. Your throat chakra is experiencing upgrades. It has experienced upgrades. And you're more in tune with how to deal with your anxiety when it appears, because you've tapped in and are learning how to tap into your own emotions. Okay, let's see. For the Depth to Life Oracle, we have manipulation and summer. So how have you grown, or how are you growing, pile 1, with manipulation and summer coming out? You've learned or are learning to see beyond the manipulation of your mind, of your anxiety, of your worries, of your fears, of your doubts, of your emotions, or the emotions of others, right? You've learned how to bloom into your own sense of knowing, your own sense of self-agency, self-accountability. I heard learning how to be your own person, right? Instead of attaching to other people and what they think and what they feel and what they believe should or should not be. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, let's see. We have the Queen of Wands coming out from the Witch Oracle deck. The Sacred Tarot Witch deck. How have you grown and how are you growing, pile 1? With the Queen of Wands coming out, you're learning to shine, right? Like I said, be your own person. You're learning to accept how you feel, who you are, what you believe, or you've learned this, right? Present and past tense. You're learning how to wave your own magic into being. You're learning how to be accountable and responsible for your own reality, for your own life. Okay, we have jumbled thoughts. The mind can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. Confusion, anxiety, escape. Right, again, so you're learning to, or you've learned to be in your own mind. You've learned to clear your mind of anxiety, to clear your mind of manipulation, whether it's self-imposed or other. You're learning how to be and embrace being your own person and shining in your own light, in your own feminine energy, right? Your own emotional, intuitive, creative, expressive energy. Thank you, Spirit. And for your three other cards we have here, before we get to the affirmations, I was going to read the affirmations. We have fake love coming out for how have you grown, or how are you growing? So again, it's that energy of seeing past the manipulation, right? The fake love coming out of manipulation, seeing past the illusions, and really tapping into your own energy, your own sense of right and wrong. We have karma is at play. your own sense of balance, your own sense of what is good, what is just, what you feel versus what other people feel. And allowing yourself to feel differently, right? How have you grown, or how are you growing, pile one? We have wish list as your last card from this deck. You're learning to let yourself want what you want. You're learning to let yourself dream, or you've learned this, right? Dream a new version of you into being, allow a new version of you into being. You're learning to accept and embrace what it is you want and desire, and believe that you are worthy of it, that you can have it. Learning to speak up for that, right? Your own needs, your own wants, your own desires, or you're learning this. And for your affirmations to close out your read, pile one, we have I am open to divine guidance. So how have you grown, and how are you growing? You're learning to be open, or you learn to be more open to the divine, to divine guidance, to where you're being led in your life, to what you're being shown, to where you are being directed, where you're ultimately going, right? I heard learning to be open to truth, your truth, right? The truth of your emotions versus other people's emotions, what you want for you versus what other people want for you. And we have I am aware that worrying doesn't change anything. So again, it's that energy of coming out of anxiety, and you've learned or are learning how to be more aware and present within your own experience and speak from that place instead of a space of anxiety, right? Instead of a space of fear, instead of a space of confusion and jumbled thoughts, you're learning to speak from a space of truth, of honesty, of integrity, and of what you really think and believe outside of what other people tell you you should think and believe. You're learning to really, I heard, release stubbornness and really allow the divine to guide you where you're meant to go, or you've learned this, right? Take what resonates. It's learned or learning, learned and or learning. But that is the end of your pile one. I hope that resonated for you. If it did, definitely go ahead and like this video, comment on this video, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, bye. Hello there. If you chose pile 2, this is your pile. Definitely go ahead and take what resonates, leave what does not. The question that we are have asked today is, how have you and or how are you growing? So let's see, pile 1, what do we have for you? Pile 2, excuse me. Pile 1 might be significant for you. If you thought about it, definitely go ahead and check it out. But we have your first card as indecision, the world, and hostilities. So how have you grown, pile 2, or how are you growing? You're learning, or you've learned how to close out cycles of indecision, to let things go instead of being indecisive about, do I stay or do I go? You've learned how to, you're learning how to release a sense of confusion, indecision. I heard feigning ignorance, like not knowing, and step into a space of realization and choice making and separation of what needs to be separated. With hostilities coming out here, pile 2, you also have learned or are learning how to let go of past pain, let go of past hurt, let go of things that have caused you strife, that have made you feel indecisive. You're learning or have learned to see things from a wider, broader, bigger perspective. And also examine your options. Know that you have options. Okay, we had to fix that lighting. I did not like that. Wait. Okay, I think that's good. All right, let's see. How are you growing? What are you, how are you growing / how have you grown, pile 2? Let's see what else. Which one did I do? I think this one. We have time, We have delusional. How have you grown / how are you growing? Pile 2. You're learning to trust in divine timing. You're learning to trust in divine timing, or you've learned this as far as it pertains to your decisions, when things are when things are meant to end, or when things are ending. You've learned and are learning when time is up in certain connections and certain scenarios, instead of fighting it, or instead of being resistant, or instead of being stubborn to the ending or to other options. You've learned or are learning how to flow with things. You're also learning how to fight back in certain scenarios, right? Where certain things or certain energies are coming toward you. You've learned or are learning how to stand up for yourself. Say no when you need to say no, right? With this indecision card, learning to make fine decisions and knowing that it's okay to make them. Knowing that it's okay to have options. And really ridding yourself of illusions surrounding what needs to go and what needs to stay. How have you grown, or how are you growing, pile 2? You're learning how to, or you've learned how to gain clarity without fighting the clarity that you receive. We have the World again, so 2 the World cards. So yeah, definitely heavy energy, pile 2, on like you've learned or are learning how to close out cycles, right? Let things go and not really just put a veil over your eyes or see in the rose-colored glasses over the hostilities that you may be receiving from people, or the way that connections or certain situations may be hostile toward you. You're learning to really be honest, or you've learned to really be honest with yourself about when it's time to let things go, and when it's time to see things clearly for what they are, when it's time to confront things head on, whether it's within you or outside of you, and make a decision from that truthful, honest space versus from a space of delusion, right? From a space of wanting to just keep cycles going, or wanting to just keep dragging things out. That is what you are learning or have learned, okay? It could be both at the same time, right? Simultaneously, take what resonates. So let's see what we have from this deck for you. My deck, we have Taurus here. We have Spilling Guts and Interested in You. So again, it's definitely related to connections in this pile. You're learning or you've grown through your relationships, or you're learning or growing through your relationships at this time. Or you've learned, or growing through. So with Taurus, Spilling Guts, and Interested in You coming out for how you have grown or how you are growing, pile 2, I'm getting, again, like you've grown and or are growing by way of what it is you go after, by what it is you seek within your relationships, by how it is you respond to certain situations. But there could also be a Taurus significant to you in this pile that wants to talk to you, or a certain connection with a Taurus that could be significant for you, as far as like needing to see that connection clearly, needing to allow time to let things happen within a connection with a Taurus that could be relevant for you. But for how you are growing or how you have grown with this pile, you're learning to, I heard, accept responsibility in how you feel. You're learning how to accept responsibility in how you feel and then speak it. You're learning how to say your piece, or you've learned this. Thank you, Spirit. Let's see what else. We have Unseen Patterns coming out. Change your thoughts, change your life, beliefs, programming. How have you grown, or how are you growing, pile 2? You've been able to see the ways in which you believe or think about yourself or life. And through that seeing, right, through that clarity, like I mentioned, you are growing into, or you've grown into stepping into a space of more decisiveness, of knowing when it's time to let things go. Like I said, whether it's patterns and things within you, or patterns and things within other people, or connections that you have, or that you have had. How have you grown, or how are you growing, pile 2? Definitely an emphasis on seeing things clearly here, especially as it pertains to yourself and like what you're worth and what you deserve, and closing out cycles, learning when it's time to, and letting that happen is significant, instead of like being delusional, instead of being hostile toward the ending, instead of being indecisive. You're learning, or have learned, when it's time to let go, when it's time to recognize, okay, this is a continuous pattern. Like, okay, this is like something that keeps happening. I need to, you know, you've learned, or are learning, or you've grown, or are growing in a way of how you handle certain situations, how you make decisions, and how you perceive and interact and engage with certain situations, especially endings and new beginnings, and especially like options, and when it's time to let things go. We have I am enough as your affirmation, and I'm getting better and better every day in every way. And so the first thing I got with these 2 affirmations, pile 2, is that you are how have you grown, or how are you growing? You're learning to be kinder to yourself, be softer with yourself, see yourself as enough. Be patient with yourself. You've learned this, or you're learning this. You're learning how to honor the steps that you take, even if you don't think they're right, even if you make mistakes. You're learning to honor the journey, respect your journey, trust in the timing of your journey, to trust in the clarity that you receive as you receive it. I heard trust in the unveiling. So you're learning, or you've learned, or you're growing, or you've grown into trusting your path and where you're being led. Trusting the endings and the new beginnings. All right, pile 2. Well, that is the end of your pile. If that resonated with you, definitely go ahead and like this video, comment on this video, or subscribe, or subscribe to my channel. And until next time, bye. Hello, pile 3. If this is your pile, definitely take what resonates and leave what does not. Don't force it, don't push it, don't shove it. If it resonates with you, you will know. So pile 3, how have you grown, and how are you growing, or how are you growing? Let's see. We have 3rd chakra, Archangel Chamuel. We have patience, and we have Goddess of the Moon. So how are you growing? How have you grown, pile 3? I heard you're learning to be more confident in yourself, or you've learned this. You're growing in way of confidence, in way of trusting the timing. Okay, you've grown in this way, or you currently are growing in this way, and trusting your intuition, and honoring the clarity that you receive through your intuition, through your gut, through your stomach. I heard learning to be more inventive. Okay, so you're learning, you're growing. Are you grown to be more inventive, more creative? Okay, let's see what else. Pile 3. Okay, we have karma coming out. Control. How have you grown? How are you growing, pile 3? You're learning to trust in karma, trust in the divine timing of karma, of things balancing out, of cause and effect, of the energy you put in versus the energy you get out. You're learning to release control and trust your intuition. Be patient with the way that things are balancing out. I heard step up, let the games begin. Okay, that could be significant to you. Learning how to, or growing into, or you've grown into stepping up in some way, into fighting back in some way, right? With your intuition, with your timing, with your own energy and your own efforts, versus trying to control other things or certain circumstances or people. Or okay, how have you grown, or how are you growing? Pile 3, we have dark reflection. When you look into the abyss looks back. Truth seeking, liberation. How have you grown, or how are you growing, pile 3? There's an energy here of like sitting with your shadow, looking at your shadow, liberating yourself from your darkness, seeing your darkness and the darkness of others for what it is. Finding your own truth that you feel within your own intuition, within your own gut, and following that and allowing things to balance out from that, instead of trying to control things from a space of lack or doubt or needing to balance out karma. You're growing, or have grown, in a way of letting life take its course and trusting in the truth that you receive from letting life take its course. How have you grown? How are you growing, pile 3? You've learned, or are learning, to be self-liberated via your intuition, trusting your knowing. Okay, let's see what else. We have the Knight of Pentacles coming out. How have you grown, or how are you growing, pile 3? So again, definitely there's heavy, this is a very intuitive pile. I'm feeling that heavily. But you've grown, you're growing to trust in your intuition. This might have taken a while, or it felt like it's taken a while, or so many things have happened to lead you up until this point. But it feels like you've grown, or are growing into this space of fully trusting your intuition and leading with that. Letting your intuition guide you instead of you trying to control everything via your mind or your ego. Again, with Knight of Pentacles and Patience coming out, there's also energy around this having had taken time, or this taking time for you to trust your intuition. But also for you to know that it's okay to be slow and steady in your growth, or in your elevation, or in your realization, or in your own energy, in realizing your own truth, in realizing your own shadows. I heard it's never too late to see. Okay, so you're growing into clearer sight, or you've grown into clearer sight. Okay, then we have remembrance. How have you grown, or how are you growing, pile 3? You're remembering who you are. You're remembering your energetic signature. You're remembering your energetic cycles. You're remembering what's true to you, what's real for you. You trust your gut. Again, with that gut energy, right? That intuitive energy. How have you grown, or how are you growing? You're learning to trust your intuition. Trust what you feel. Trust what you know. Trust your truth. The truth that you see from others' dark reflections even, but also your own dark reflection. I heard boundaries. Okay, so how have you grown, or how are you growing, pile 3? You're learning, or have learned to have boundaries. And we have third party here. Can't make it up, right? So how have you grown, or how are you growing? You've learned to separate yourself from, I heard, drama, or third parties, or situations where there are so many parts and like it's causing a lot of confusion or chaos. With this dark reflection here, how have you grown, or how have you grown, or how are you growing? With this third party coming out, it's definitely giving this energy of like being reflected through this drama or through chaos with other people or within group scenarios. It has allowed you to see your own darkness and the darkness of others, and then grow from it, right? Learn from it, transmute it, take wisdom. which reminds me of that Knight of Pentacles energy, right? Slow and steady, taking your time, going through the motions, leveling up in layers. Again, with that remembrance energy, right? Remembering happens in layers. You don't just remember and then, okay, right? It's a process. So have you grown, or how are you growing, Pile 3? Learning to trust the process is part of that. We have, I am moving forward in spite of setbacks. Whoopsie. And we have, I believe in myself and where I'm headed. So how have you grown, or how are you growing, Pile 3? You've learned to keep going despite what may happen, right? Despite the chaos, right? Despite third parties, despite your shadows or other people's shadows, despite timing, with patience being here. You're learning to move forward through obstacles, through challenges, or you've learned this. Again, with that slow and steady energy, right? Trusting the process, the layering of the level up. How have you grown, or how are you growing? You're growing into, or you've grown into believing in yourself and the direction you're headed, where you're headed, the timing of where you're headed. You've grown, or are growing into yourself, a new belief system, a belief system that you remember. There's past life energy here too, right? Like I said, I feel this is as an intuitive pile. So there's energy of like growing through your intuition. There's energy of past lives. There's energy of shadow work. There's energy of divine timing. There's energy of patience. There's a lot of flow here, a lot of intuitive energy, even airy energy. So with that, I'm getting like communication. So you could be growing, or have grown to communicate more, communicate better. Okay, Pile 3, well, that was your reading. If this video resonated with you, definitely go ahead and give this video a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, Pile 3, bye.